After the break, the Met under fire over an arrest video, and Michael Barrymore opens up about losing his confidence and finding it again. Tonight, the Metropolitan Police under fire once again over this video.
What the hell?
The woman was arrested and handcuffed after being wrongly accused of bus fare evasion. Witnesses tell us police were unprofessional. Returning from Rhodes, Londoners tell us of their horror escaping the Greece wildfires.
Hello, ITV. Long time no see. You all right, all of you?
Morning. We sit down with Michael Barrymore to talk about finding his confidence again, and the writer and star of new comedy Dreamin' Whilst Black will be joining us to talk microaggressions. Good evening. Mobile phone footage posted online over the weekend has today led to the Metropolitan Police referring itself to the police watchdog, the IOPC. The clip shows a woman being arrested and handcuffed in front of her 7-year-old son in Croydon after being wrongly accused of bus fare evasion, leaving her son clearly upset and distressed. According to police, the incident happened on Friday, but since being uploaded, it's caused widespread outrage, with officers accused of unfairly targeting and mistreating the woman. The Met says no conduct matters have been identified, but eyewitnesses say the officers were unprofessional, as Daniel Henry reports.
What the hell?
Bus rides aren't supposed to end like this.
What?
A mother in handcuffs and a child in tears.
Just over the road. Yeah.
Jeff saw it happen from the other side of the street.
The child seeing this is a trauma. The child growing up, and then, let's say I growing up and then I'm not liking the police. This is another reason, because my mom was mishandled. And I feel like it could have been handled better rather than physically, because at the end of the day, it's just, what, £1.70, £2?
This society needs to love themselves and love each other a little bit more. I think they really need to go back and evaluate how they deal with situations.
So what happened? Police say this woman was arrested on suspicion of fare evasion and was handcuffed. They say she was asked to show her ticket as she got off the bus. And when that didn't happen, she was spoken to by a TfL inspector, then a PCSO, and finally by a police officer. They say when officers were able to take her ticket so that TfL inspectors could check it, they confirmed her ticket was valid, which is when she was de-arrested and her handcuffs were removed. But when the community came together today, there were still questions to answer about the police account of events.
I know my local police and they want to work with the community to get these things right. It looks like it's absolutely right that this has been referred to the IOPC. I'm very glad that's happened.
What impact do you think that has on the credibility of the plan to restore trust?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big plan. It's a plan about changing the entire culture of the Met and the way we operate. So it's not going to happen overnight. And I think there will be bumps along the road as we go forward. But I think the plan is really clear to officers around what we need to do. And the job for me now as a senior leader is to make sure we land that plan and get it delivered.
Hold on. Why are you arresting her? Why are you arresting her?
So where does that leave the mum in this video? ITV News understands a complaint of racial profiling and verbal abuse has been raised. The incident has been referred to the police watchdog. Daniel Henry, ITV News.
Islamist preacher Anjem Chowdhury has been charged with 3 terror offences. The 56-year-old from Ilford appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court earlier. He's accused of directing a terrorist organisation, being a member of a prescribed organisation and addressing meetings to encourage support for a prescribed organisation. And an inquest into the death of student Richard Okoroge in Epping Forest has concluded he drowned in a pond. The 19-year-old had been missing from his home in Ladbroke Grove for 2 weeks in April 2021. Sadiq Khan has dug his heels in over plans to expand the ultra-low emission zone at the end of the next month. The mayor's been facing growing pressure from MPs after Sir Keir Starmer said ULEZ was partly to blame for Labour's Uxbridge by-election defeat. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
How's it going, Lakshmi?
Siobhan McDonough is a Labour MP at odds with London's Labour mayor. She's among a growing number of Labour politicians unhappy at Sadiq Khan's proposed extension to the ultra-low emission zone.
I would ask Sadiq, even at this late stage, and I know it's hard, because he holds very sincerely the kind of priority of cleaning London's airs, to ask whether this is the right way and whether the people who are going to be affected by it are the right people to be affected.
Last week, Labour failed to capture Uxbridge and South Ruislip in a by-election. Some in the party openly blamed the mayor, and party leader Sir Keir Starmer told him to reflect, in other words, think again. The extended clean air zone is due to come into force 5 weeks tomorrow. City Hall said today the mayor is still committed to that timetable, but he is happy to look at ideas to mitigate the impact of ULEZ. Could that mean additional cash for a bigger scrappage scheme? City Hall won't speculate, but the mere idea of a delay to ULEZ appalls clean air campaigners.
I think we need to be honest here. The ULEZ expansion is not going to be enough to clean up there. More will need to be done in the context of reducing driving further and with reducing other sources of air pollution as well.
In June, ITV News filmed these newly installed but vandalised cameras in Uxbridge. They're among more than 100 thought to have had their cables sliced by anti-ULEZ activists. The cameras have now gone and are yet to be replaced, but Transport for London is confident enough cameras will be in place for next month's launch.
My mailbox is full of stories that are heartbreaking. People that simply cannot afford to replace their vehicles. Now is absolutely not the time for this. And to be honest, extending it into Outer London is ludicrous in every way. We do not need it in Outer London.
Would you find it hard to go out campaigning for Sadiq Khan next year?
I will be happy to go out and campaign for Sadiq as the Labour candidate for London. But I don't underestimate what a challenge that will be because people will be feeling very angry.
While the mayor contemplates his next move, this week could see a ruling from the High Court. 5 Tory councils are seeking to have the ULEZ expansion declared unlawful. Simon Harris, ITV News.
After years out of the spotlight, Michael Barrymore is back in showbiz, but this time he's in the driving seat as the director of a new West End play. Mr Barrymore was once one of ITV's biggest stars, of course, and tonight he's opened up to ITV News London about losing his television career and his confidence. Here's Rex Martell.
The camera for ITV. Hello, ITV. Long time no see. You all right, all of you?
He's back.
Rags.
After decades away from our screens.
How have I suddenly got involved in this show? I'm supposed to be behind the scenes.
Michael Barrymore almost returning to the stage.
Welcome to my show.
Directing a West End play.
It's not about ITV. This is not about me. It's about these eight youngsters who are going to get up there tonight and hopefully do what I've asked them to do directorially.
What's it like directing? Because you're normally in front of the camera.
When I'm directing them, I'll try it like this, and I say, and if you can't get it, just copy what I do.
Ladies and gentlemen,
in the 1990s,
Michael Barrymore!
He was one of the biggest stars on TV. But after a tragedy in 2001, where a young man was found dead in his pool, he disappeared from our screens.
Over 23 years since I've done any full telly, when your confidence is smashed like that, the confidence it takes to get up there and work the way I work, which I'm trying to still into these, to be brave on stage, to jump and not know where you're going to land and trust that the forces of the universe will conspire to make it happen to you.
Barrymore's universe now shines on TikTok, getting viral views in the hundreds of millions.
The main thing about TikTok is that it reconnected me with my audience. It's amazing. If TikTok, at that particular platform, had been around 20 years ago, I would have chosen it over going in the studio.
Over ITV?
Well, I was working for ITV. So, how are they? Right, hello, it's me. Look. Send them my love, won't you?
The play Barrymore co-directs tells of the feud between Stan Laurel and Charlie Chaplin.
He was my idol growing up. and dropped him a line seeing if he wanted to get involved, and he was over the moon, and he's bitten off more than he can chew in a good way.
Yeah.
And he's been there every day. He's been absolutely wonderful.
His comedy is very physical, very like facial expression.
He's a clown. Yeah, he's not a comic, he's a clown. So it fits perfectly for this style of theatre. It's a match made in heaven.
And has this given you a taste to get back on stage, back on screen?
Actually, I'm glad you asked me that, Rags, because a few times I've been asked back to do various tellies over the last 20 years. I've never once said I'm making a comeback. I haven't been anywhere to come back from. I mean, I'm 24/7 on TikTok. You know, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm the busiest I've ever been. I just love what I do. You know, I'd do it for nothing, but unfortunately we have to pay the rent, all of us. So we have to get a fee somewhere along the line.
Laurel and Chaplin, The Feud, is on at the Cambridge Theatre every Monday. Rags Martel, ITV News, in the West End.
A survivor of the Croydon tram crash has told a court he fears his life will forever be defined by the incident. Stephen Kennedy was one of 10 victims who had their impact statements read out at the Old Bailey today, ahead of the sentencing of TfL and Tram Operations Limited. Both companies failed in their health and safety duties at the time of the crash, which killed 7 people. Jurors have been sent out to begin their deliberations after hearing closing evidence in the sexual offences trial against US actor Kevin Spacey. The 63-year-old has been labelled a sexual bully by the prosecution, but he has denied all the claims. In the last few hours, Londoners who were evacuated from the Greek island of Rhodes have started arriving back at Stansted Airport. They're among 19,000 people who've escaped massive fires in popular tourism areas. But a number of Londoners are still stuck, homeless on the island, still waiting for answers. Helen Keenan's been hearing about their harrowing experiences.
On their way to safety after finding their hotel on fire. The horror that has engulfed Rhodes has left many Londoners homeless. This family from Hertfordshire are stranded and sleeping on a sports hall floor.
When I look back at it and I've looked through my photos and things like that, I think, yeah, it's close. And yeah, it has been a nightmare.
With only their passports and €20 on them, they need their luggage, but say they're receiving mixed messages on whether it is safe to return for it.
I was thinking that we might not be safe, we might not get away from the fire.
I'm thinking, how are we going to eat? What are we going to get to drink? Little one as well. You know what I mean? That's all she's got is the clothes that she's got on. You don't get much sleep, but it's better than nothing. I could be sleeping on the beach. Or another thing is, I could have been caught in the fire, not being talked to. So grateful to be alive at the end of the day.
This is a school. Those still stranded are sleeping anywhere they can, being helped by local volunteers. Others are sleeping at airports, waiting for flights to get them out. Others have made it back to London, flights full of tourists landing this afternoon at Stansted. One family from Hendon described their evacuation experience.
It was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. There were people screaming, crying, people carrying little babies, little children, trying to drag their suitcases.
While some airlines have cancelled their flights to Rhodes, others are operating as normal. As 10,000 British holidaymakers try to flee Greece, a country at war with wildfires. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme, Sir Michael Caine remembers former London MP Glenda Jackson. Plus, we meet the writer and star of new comedy series Dreaming Whilst Black. But first, when 7-year-old Sarah Atif struggled to see the whiteboard at school, she was told by doctors that she had a lazy eye. But when she continued to have problems, Sarah's family finally discovered that she had a terminal brain tumour. Now her only hope for more time lies in treatment abroad. Barbara Holmes went to meet them.
Hasnain likes taking care of his little sister.
I'll give you your favourite colour spoon.
And lately, she's needed a lot of brotherly love. At the start of this year, Sarah was a lively, energetic 7-year-old. But when she struggled to see the blackboard, she went to get an eye test.
I just took her for a normal appointment, like normal eye appointment. And we found out, by the end of the day, we found out that it's a brain tumour.
Soon after, Yuruz and Atif were told her illness was terminal.
I couldn't believe my ears that time that this happened, and I'm listening to this news. I was devastated and shocked, and I was speechless.
They set about researching any way to help their daughter and found a drug trial in the Netherlands which has the potential to extend Sarah's life.
In the beginning they said usually the children who have this thing, they have only like one year in hand, so just go and make memories. So I told my husband, like, we will make memories, but we will fight. We will not leave her like this.
But the cost of travelling and treatment is in the tens of thousands. Money they're raising through crowdfunding. They just want their children to have more time together.
When I'm bored, he always makes me laugh. And whenever she's sad, I make her laugh too. I say funny things, act funny, and then she starts laughing.
Why do you do that?
To cheer her up, because she's my sister.
For Sarah, her only hope now lies in her trips to Holland. Barbara Holmes, ITV News.
Turning now to the impact of university strikes on students. Hundreds of them at Queen Mary University won't be graduating this year because they didn't get their marks on time. Staff are blaming ongoing industrial action, but for the students who were already disrupted by COVID, it's a huge blow, leaving many once again unsure about their future, as Kafok Pata reports.
It's one of London's leading educational institutions. A Russell Group university ranked 21st in the UK, and in promotional videos they promise a world-class degree. Today is one of the many graduation ceremonies planned for the summer, but some students from different courses won't be donning the hat and gown. Last week, some 300 English and drama students received an email saying they won't be graduating due to a marking boycott.
So, no graduation, no degree. Where on earth does this leave you?
You know, you've paid the university close to £30,000, and at the end of it, you're thinking, I should have a degree, obviously. But no, I'm left without a degree. My professional prospects are all up in the air. I'm due to start a master's in September. And it's just, I'm in this weird limbo and I have no idea what's going on.
Some students, like Freya, are graduating. Due to the nature of her course, she's received enough credits to pass, but not with her full marks.
I'm graduating, but I'm not graduating with a grade, so I don't actually know what classification I'm going to be graduating with, which is a bit frustrating.
In a statement, Queen Mary told us that while this represents just 2% of all final year graduating students, this is devastating for our English and drama students, and we are offering ongoing support to them. This issue has been caused by a dispute over pay and working conditions, with lecturers across the country challenging the employers by refusing to mark their students' work.
The reason students like Anthony and Freya are in this situation is because you and your colleagues are not marking their exam papers. Surely you might feel some responsibility, some blame for putting them in this position.
They're right to be angry, but I think they know, and when I speak to students, they recognise that the blame for this lies with those who control the university's finances and who should be making a better offer in negotiations.
Between that and all those staff strikes, I bet you hardly even set foot on campus.
Students from other universities who face disruptions have actually taken their universities to court. The same can be done to Queen Mary.
So if you ordered items from Amazon, for instance, and Amazon didn't deliver those items, you'd be expecting a refund, or if it delivered some of the items, but not all of the items, which would probably be the case here, you'd expect a refund for what it hasn't delivered. And so the students are perfectly entitled to bring claims against their universities.
And Kath, there is concern about the quality of the degrees, isn't there?
Yes, I mean, this is an issue affecting students across the country. Just last week, we heard that Cambridge University students graduated with a blank scroll, the equivalent of no degree. There's also some concern about the quality, like you said. Lecturers have been telling me that because they've been on strike, universities have brought in staff who aren't necessarily linked to the course module or linked to the students to mark the exam papers. So there's anger from basically everyone. Students are angry, lecturers are angry. And just before I came in here, I got a text saying that there's a planned strike at Queen Mary, all aimed at disrupting the upcoming university ceremony.
OK, Kath, thanks very much. Now, our guest tonight is an award-winning writer whose web comedy, in which she also stars, has just been adapted into a series on BBC Three. Dreaming Whilst Black is about the trials and tribulations of being a black creative and the often awkward, verging on racist, interactions of everyday life.
You've got a bit of a tan there, actually. I'm really dark as you now. Stop it!
You, Nigerian. Me, Anglo-Saxon. We're black and white. Like Michael Jackson.
Yo.
Leave it.
Thanks so much for joining us, Johnny. And I have to say, I did watch it this morning, and I did thoroughly enjoy it this morning. It's a lot of it's based on your own experience of trying to get ahead in the industry, isn't it?
I like to think of it as a compilation story, so not necessarily just me, but like my friends as well, who I went to film school with.
Yeah, and it's microaggressions, I'd say, rather than sort of overt racism. And there were sort of scenarios and scenes that I recognised from my own life that sort of happened in the workplace. You know, things like you bringing in ethnic food and people sort of complaining about the smell. Where did all that inspiration come from?
To be honest, it was never the intention to become that, but I think just being in the space and, you know, the more I was here and the more I was reading and just kind of understanding what it means to be, I guess, Black British, I just felt like we should talk about it.
Yeah, and it's like little things. I feel like it could educate people on perhaps how their behaviour may, and the things they say may well be offensive to others. And that's something that you deal with in a very specific but familiar way when it comes to the karaoke scene within the workplace, where everybody's trying not to say the N-word, but want you to say it up on stage. And it's that sort of scenario, I imagine, that some people can identify with.
Yeah, well, you know, Ali and I have always wanted to make jokes about everyday life, and that actually, as much as, you know, there's a serious conversation that should be had around this issue, that equally, if you show it for how ridiculous it is, maybe you'll be able to laugh at it on one level and also realize that actually maybe you shouldn't do it.
Now, you've spoken about having to reevaluate the way that you look at racism because you moved to Jamaica when you were 5 and then moved back here when you were 18.
Yes, I did.
So you sort of had to learn what racism was because that wasn't your experience in Jamaica. What's that process been like for you?
It's interesting because obviously we still have history. Like we learn history, but from our perspective, right? So we don't necessarily learn about William Wilberforce. We learn about like Sam Sharp and, you know, all the great people who did the work. But I guess it's interesting for me because I'm not, I didn't grow up thinking of myself as other. So I guess that's why I have this perspective of it being nonsense or it being ludicrous because it's actually, but we're the same. Why? Like, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like...
So you're sort of learning, I guess, the perspective of somebody like me, for example, who's grown up here, where you are a minority as opposed to growing up in a country where you are the majority. So your life experiences could be very different.
Yes, but that was also important for us as well in writing the scripts to center ourselves. Actually, that let me take that perspective here and, you know, make a show where we are the center and everyone else is other, which I think is why the show manages to skew it. And I think that's how we're able to make it funny, by making us the center of it.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope you're enjoying all the love that you're getting for the series because it is phenomenally good. And it is, I know, it's available to stream at the moment and debuts on BBC Three at 10 o'clock tonight.
Yes, it does.
So, Johnny, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
OK, Sally has joined us in the studio. Sally, I'm not quite sure what we've done with the sunshine, but if you could bring it back at some point, that would be great. I'd be very thankful.
Did we ever have it, is the question I ask. You wouldn't wish the weather in Greece on anyone, would you? No. But it has been a bit miserable. But look at this poor little poppet trying to seek some shelter in the... Oh, have we got our picture?
Oh, I think we've got it.
Oh, wait. Look Look, wasn't that worth the wait? This is a bank vole. Apparently his favourite food is hazelnut and blackberries. It's like something out of Beatrice Potter, isn't it?
It's very, very cute.
Anyway, we've had a lot of rainfall this month. We're getting towards our peak. Let's take a little look at the forecast. A little bit more to come. Here we go.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Hello again. I hope you had a good day. Thank goodness for this gorgeous little bird, so colourful, brightening up those grey old skies. And the little dogs here as well. Now, we have got, again, the risk of a few showers tomorrow, but it's generally a drier day, or brighter day, I should say. So we've got the chance of some sunny spells. And then as we head into Wednesday, a lot of the daytime's looking dry, but we've got rain moving in the evening, probably at the moment, and overnight as well. So let's take a look at the detail for tonight. Still couldn't rule out a few splashes of rain, but they are generally clearing away. And overnight, we'll get some clear spells emerging. We are going to have a little bit of a cooler night. Down to possibly single figures in the countryside, although many of the towns and cities staying up into double figures. So it'll feel a little bit fresh first thing to morning. But as I said, a slightly brighter day than we've had today. Some sunny spells, but also a few showers cropping up, perhaps the risk of any heavier ones around the middle part of the day. But where you get the sunshine, hopefully those temperatures just a little bit warmer than today. 18 to 22 are the highs. We still couldn't rule out a few showers in the latter part of the afternoon, but they do clear away as we go through the evening, and if you're lucky you'll get some pockets of sunshine to end the day. So as we head into Wednesday, well, some sunny spells, a bit of cloud bubbling up, and then this low pressure system behind me moves in as we go through the moment into the evening and overnight. And you can see from this chart at the moment Thursday, although it's a bit uncertain, is looking to start off on a bit of a gloomy, damp note, some drizzle around and maybe a few showers later on as well. We'll keep an eye on that for you. At the moment though, Friday is looking a little bit better. See you later on. Cheerio.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Their latest film from Londonette Sir Michael Caine is all about war veteran Bruce Jordan, who escaped his care home in Sussex back in 2014 to go to the D-Day anniversary in Normandy. He became known as the Great Escaper. A 90-year-old Sir Michael plays the determined Bruce alongside former MP and Oscar-winning actress Glenda Jackson. He told ITV News of his shock at her passing last month.
She didn't seem sick at all. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong, well, you know. I was wondering when I was going to do the next picture with her.
Mm-hmm. It came as a terrible
shock.
Shock.
It was a complete surprise to me. I mean, a terrible shock, because I loved
Oh, and that was Glenda's final film. And you can see the full interview with Sir Michael Caine on ITV News, which is up next with Mary, of course. But from all of us here on the London team, enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.